of the company, etc. So I think that really has changed that leadership style from the top down.
Okay, that's really clear. So the last section is internal context, and this can be. I've had a few questions about what this actually means. So internal context can be how we as an organisation have reacted to the requirements of technology or the requirements of external influence. It can also be just how we've developed organically as an organisation. So again, if I just run through each of these questions one by one. So the first question is, how do you feel today's requirements that we've discussed previously influences our structure or the way we interact within our organisation?
Yeah, and I think this is where it becomes difficult, because we're doing the right things in terms of investing and looking at opportunities in whether it's mobile, subscription, etc. But then to some degree that silos some of the teams, because it means you have a fragment of team over here that are working on this. Whereas before, when also we were really just packaged goods and we were a big IP and that's where everything was centred, it was more one team. You knew where you stood, or you knew what other people were doing. Now, because there are so many things happening in so many areas, it does become a bit more siloed. And it is more, not difficult, but more challenging in terms of the communication or knowing what each of those teams are doing and how it all kind of fits together.
Okay. So, and what is your experience or view on the organisation's position regarding adopting either a conservative or safe approach to doing business, or an entrepreneurial position, and has this changed?
Yeah, and I think that almost steps back to the emergent and the long-term goals. I feel that underneath it all, we are still quite a conservative organisation, and there are still the elements of the longer term planning, etc. But then there is also this entrepreneurial position, and much more so with the leadership that we have now, in terms of, like we're saying, incubating these ideas, bringing on board small developers like the EA Originals, I think they're called, where they're investing in small publishers in the hope that they can incubate some idea that will then, reap rewards in the future. So I think that has changed, and that is where I see the split between the two.
Okay. And would you say that the areas that we've discussed, any of the areas we've discussed today, have influenced any changes to either your or the organisation's leadership style?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think it's hard to look within yourself and your team. It's easier looking at upper management and then saying, okay, they've done this.
Okay.
But obviously the team, the organisation I'm within, has had a huge amount of change over the last 5 years even, in terms of people have to be much more flexible than they've ever been before. You have to be adaptable, and you have to be able to embrace change and at quite a rapid pace. And I think that has been something, again, that people have needed to adopt.
Yeah.
I think you just naturally do it. You don't realise that you're doing it. And if you don't, I suppose you don't continue, or you're not comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But I think that has changed, that we're adapting to change quicker, and you need to have that as part of your leadership style.
So I was going to say, how has that changed, say, your way of working with your team? So if you knowing that they have to work that way, has that made you, I don't know, more directive, more inclusive? I don't know. How would you?
Yeah, I suppose it's just making sure that, I suppose it's influencing in some way for them to realise that it's not, it is the way it is now, but there are lots of things that will happen, or just to be as open as I can with them, really.
Okay.
And I think that's just, the best approach, really.
Okay. I think this one actually, this has been called out quite a lot. That this next question is linked to previous questions, so it's almost a repetition.
Yeah.
So it's the stance on risk tolerance from the organisation. Has this altered over time as market conditions or requirements have changed?
Yeah, I struggle with this one a bit, because I feel sometimes that EA is a bit risk averse.
Okay.
But then talking through the things we talked about and the areas that we're trying to penetrate, then obviously we're not. There is risk involved in that, but it's the size of the risk.
Yes.
I suppose that's the difference. So I think of some of the acquisitions or some of the pieces that we've done previously, they were bigger risks, and maybe we were more, more involved in risk, and now maybe we are slightly more averse